Morning, Lucy.
Morning.
I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. I'm really excited, and if I'm excited, I can't imagine how excited you are that you've got your book coming out very, very shortly. Do you want to just show it to me?
Yes, always.
Lovely. Maddie and Theo's Adventures. What is that? Kakaroona Zoo?
Kakaroony Zoo.
Kakaroony Zoo. Oh, really exciting. So, Lucy and I met at a conference a few years ago, and we had an amazing conversation about writing, and we've been friends ever since, haven't we?
Yes.
I really love that. So, as well as being an author, Lucy has published this book. She has a previous book, which is called The Table with No Edge.
Correct.
And also she's an amazing artist. We have to look her up for her artist work. You can see the freedom in her artwork. It's just amazing. So I'm really pleased to have you on what do we call this program show? Anyway,
Inside an author's mind.
Yes, getting into an author's mind. So I really want to help people to see that somebody who publishes a book is no different to anybody else, really. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to ask you, Lucy, if that's okay.
Yes.
And I think a good place to start might be to do with your writing process. Can you tell us something about, how you go about your writing? How did it start for you in terms of writing?
Okay, I love this little question. It's a great one. I'm always a one for going on, so tell me if I talk too much and say too much about my backstory, because I can't talk to England once I start. So, but basically, I've always written. I've always wanted to be a writer or an author. And when I was about 15, I wrote my first book.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, I think we had a kind of computer and printer or something, and managed to print it all off on paper. Do you remember the holes you used to get at the edge of the paper? The printer. Mm-hmm. I used to print, and I tried to get it published, but nothing happened.
What was that one called? What
did
you call that one?
It's called Bloodshed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a bit of a thriller type thing. So life went on, and I got jobs, and we'll talk about that another time. But fast forward, I'm now 39 next month, and about 2.5 years ago, I moved to Devon to work and live with my auntie and sister and run a mental health business, which is how I met you, Maria, through that. And something wasn't quite right for me. I love it. I love a lot of the stuff that we do, but it wasn't sitting right for me, and I knew that I wasn't following exactly my passion and what I wanted to do in life that I loved. So luckily for me, I was able to have the time and space to see what that was, to discover it, because I didn't know what I wanted to do every day. But I did know that I'd always wanted to be a writer, and I loved the idea. I had been in the background writing a children's book, but it wasn't coming together very well. So I've got another friend, Mandy, who was running a writing retreat with a traditionally published author called Iliffe-Wood, who's a thriller writer. So I went on the retreat, and I went on it with the idea of coming away writing one book. And Lee and I had a conversation where we discovered that actually I've got 5 books inside of me, not one. All the ideas that I shared with her. And so after that retreat, it gave me loads of ideas. I'm really good at not being super organized. And I came away from that realizing that if I wanted to write a book, I needed to find more of a balance inside of me to become organized, to get some kind of structure in place, to know what the hell I was going to write about and how it was going to pan out, but knowing that those plans that I set in place weren't going to be kind of set in stone, and that they were just a rough structure for me to go by. So I came home, and once I do get my teeth into something, and once I'm determined to do something, I do it. I absolutely do it. So I came back, and for 3 months, I spent my time every single day planning my book. And what that meant was I'd been told that you need to know your characters inside out and better than you know your best friend. So I spent a lot of time creating my characters, like exactly what they would look like, their whole personalities and characters, and the whole idea of how the characters start out in the book and how they can't think what the word is, like they kind of transform through the book.
Yeah.
So, for example, the two characters in here, Maddie and Theo in the front, they are polar opposites. Maddie is completely confident and outgoing and loud, and Theo is really shy and insecure and scared of himself. And what they kind of do through the book is they learn from each other that absolutely there's a place where Theo learns to not be so shy and he can be a bit more confident in himself. And Maddie learns that maybe there's a place where she doesn't need to be quite so outspoken. So again, it's kind of a message of how they learn and transform to be a little bit more balanced in their life at such an early age, which is great, and they have so much fun doing it. So yeah, that's kind of what happened over the next 3 months. Was I plotted it all,
Yeah.
and then I spent 3 months writing the book.
Did you just plot the one book, or was this all 5 books?
I've plotted all 5.
Right.
They're very loosely plotted, the rest of them. Just basic ideas, kind of like, I haven't exactly given them titles, but I know what they're going to be about, and things like what the overall story is going to be about, and the kind of, because a little spoiler alert here, but what happens is they go into an imagination world in book 1. And they're going to do that in every single book somehow or another. But they visit like different imagination worlds. There's different things that happen and stuff. So it's very loosely plotted. And when I wrote this one with all the ideas, a lot of them stayed. The original ideas kind of stayed, but they absolutely took twists and turns. When I was writing the chapters, I was like, oh, how did that happen? That wasn't in the
Yeah.
It's a great surprise.
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you sit down every day at the same time? Do you have a routine?
I'm not so good at that. I kind of work Monday to Friday pretty much. And what I do is I have in my mind that if I want to get my book, what I did with this book was, if I want to get it written in 3 months, I knew how many words I wanted to roughly write. So I'd work out how many words I would need to do each day for that. And I know that for me, it takes about an hour, if I'm in a good flow, to write between 800 and 2,000 words in an hour to 2 hours. So I've always got loads of other stuff going on and loads of other things that I like doing with my time as well. So pretty much I dedicated that I would at least put in 2 hours every single day to sit and write. And it didn't really matter when that happened. Sometimes it's just, I feel more relaxed when I'm not putting pressure on myself when that's got to be done. And I know that I'll do it in that way. So sometimes it would be 10 o'clock at night when I'd be excited to write. So yeah, that's how I structured myself to do it.
Brilliant. And what about editing? How does that look for you?
That's a very interesting one. As you mentioned before, Maria, I have written a book before. A few years ago, I self-published a book. And what I did with that was, I kind of had, it was my first book. I had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't edit it, as in I did some self edits, and I had a couple of people look at it and do a bit of editing and stuff, but I didn't pay or get a professional editor for that one. But what I really wanted to do with this was absolutely go all out and be a proper professional writer with this one. So I think I paid about £1,200 for an editor. It's quite a a costly thing to do.
Yeah.
But I know that it's well worth it. I can absolutely tell you that it's well worth it. And my book, even though when I'd written the first draft, as it's known in the author world as the brain dump, when I'd written that, it was really, in my mind, it was really good and I loved it. But when my editor took hold of it and the first edits, what they do, or what my editor did, I don't know if there's different ways of how it works, but she does 3 lots of edits, and she did like a development edit to start with. And when she came back with that, and I did my part in that she'd suggested, the transformation in the book was like, this came to me the other day, I think I might have said it to you, Maria, it's like when you watch a caterpillar transform into a butterfly, and I was like, oh my God, it was just amazing, it was beautiful, it really, really helped the book, like, I'm lost for words, I don't know what the words are, but it just transformed the book.
Yeah.
But it was very overwhelming to start with. I have to say this bit, and I do not
do say it.
I do not want to put anyone off at all, because it's the best thing. But when I first got my edits back from my lady, from my editor, there's this thing called track changes or something in the document.
Changes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not all that technical with that stuff, but and at the top of the document it said 8,000 something changes and edits or comments or something, and I was like, oh my God, what? How am I going to deal with that? So what I did was I took a couple of days and thought, don't think about it, don't look at it. That was my personal, my wisdom that said, just leave it, because you feel overwhelmed and it's no point trying to do things from that headspace. So I just left it a couple of days, and then when I felt ready, I thought, as I try to do with most things, I thought, just do what you've done when you've written a book, and take an hour or 2 hours every single day and just do it in small little chunks. Just take bite-sized steps kind of thing. And I can't think how long it took for the first lot of edits, but I think it took a good 6 weeks maybe to get it all sorted and back to her. But I do other things as well. As I say, I wasn't spending 9 till 5 doing that. It was literally an hour or 2 each day.
6 weeks is a pretty good time scale.
That was just the first edit, and then the 2 edits that we did after that. The whole editing process was, I think, about 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So, but it was magical. And at first I thought, oh God, I don't want to do editing. Oh my God, what a ball ache, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When I got into it, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it, in a very different way to writing the actual book.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it was it's a very different experience, but it was just as exciting, if not more exciting in some ways. I absolutely loved it, I have to say. So,
lovely. So, what about your gremlins? What are the things that kind of go through your mind that have the potential to stop you? What kind of gremlins do you have, and how do they affect you, and what do you do?
I guess one of the biggest was, at the moment, like now, I've changed a lot. I saw through my drinking, and I gave up drinking about 7 or 8 months ago. But while I was actually writing the book last year, I wasn't in the best place in my head, a lot better than I have been, but I was definitely, there would be days where I would, for want of describing it in another way, I was definitely going through some kind of anxiety and depression stuff at the time. So there would be days where I would struggle to get out of bed, and I would be in bed for a day or two. So that stopped me because my head would tell me all sorts of things. Oh, you're crap, you're rubbish, you can't write a book, you can't even get out of bed.
Mm.
So those demons and gremlins were there in the back of my mind, trying to, tell me that you can't write. So that was difficult some days, but I'm really lucky to live with Deb and Beck, and we talk about mental health all the time. So on the days when I then felt loads better, I would get up and we would talk about it, and they would kind of, remind me that you want to do this book and you've always wanted to be a published author, and you know that you can do it, you know that you're good enough. So that would spur me back on then to write again. And again, it's the whole, for me personally, it's taking that pressure off that if you don't write one day, Lou, this is me talking to myself, if you don't write one day, Lou, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you do it, you'll still get there. So that was definitely one of my biggest gremlins when I got into that state of, oh, you just can't write today. You can't do anything. Yeah, so that was one. I can tell you more if you want. Or
Yeah, I just wonder, another one would be great.
I think the technology
Okay, yeah.
behind, like, I wrote my book, or I write my books on, I do type, I just type it on when I wrote that first book when I was 15, I wrote it all in a notebook thing.
Yeah. Well, I still do. Everything of my writing starts in a handwritten notebook.
But when I'm doing my books, I do it straight on the computer. It comes out faster for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there was absolutely, like, when I self-published that first book, the massive gremlin was trying to put that, I know you've just been through this yourself with your book, Maria,
Yeah.
the manuscript onto Amazon. And like I said, I used to be a lot more, things would get to me a lot more. I'd be irritable, or I'd get angry easy. And that definitely doesn't happen anywhere near as much these days.
Mm-hmm.
But when it did, I would get mad. So it would be an absolute gremlin to think, oh, I wish someone else could just put this onto the laptop and put it onto Amazon and upload it for me, because I hated those bits. But as I said earlier, the one thing that I kind of pride myself on, if you like, is the whole, when I am determined to do something, I will do it. And that might mean that I just need to walk away from the laptop for a bit and go and do something else and come back to it when I've calmed down. And it won't stop me at all.
Clearly it doesn't stop you.
No, it doesn't.
It's really brilliant to see. So this question intrigues me, because I don't know that I have a definitive answer to this. So this is I think this is my interest in talking to people. It's like, why do you write, do you think?
Okay, I think that we all have core values in our life.
Mm-hmm.
That is my thing, I guess. That's how I see life. I think each one of us have core values, and we might not know what they are, and I've only been discovering mine lately, personally. But how I see life is that it's about fun and it's about freedom. They are my two core values in life. And a lot of people that know me know that I like to have fun, and I like to have a lot of fun, and I love children, like, as in, I've got a 3.5-year-old niece, and I could hang out with her all the time. She's so much fun, and it's crazy, and you get to just take all that seriousness off your head and play like they do.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I wanted to write a children's book was knowing that when I wrote it, or when I was writing it, I was having so much fun, because I knew that with children's stuff, you could go anywhere that your mind could take you. Like, sometimes I think if you're writing an adult book, I don't know, it feels to me like there's limitations on things. But a child will just go anywhere, hence, imagination world.
Yeah.
So it absolutely felt like so much fun when I was writing it, and being the characters. Me and Beck often went out, my sister that is, went out for a walk on while I was writing it, and I would say to her things like, "Guess what Maddie did today?" And she'd be like, "Who?" Sorry, I forget it's not real, but and they absolutely are in my head, and all the little characters that bring me on the way. And I for a couple of, I mean, I have for all the time, but a couple of hours of writing every day, and the things that come out on the screen that I had no idea were going to come out, it just so much fun, and it felt free. So the two core values are absolutely expressed there. And for me, that's what I want to feel every day. I want as much as possible, especially after going through kind of depression and anxiety stuff that I struggled with. The whole being able to have a couple of hours fun and freedom each day and writing that is just undescribable, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's really lovely. I think so many people are going to be able to resonate with some of the stuff that you've talked about. I find that my writing has changed dramatically in the way that I write. For years and years and years, and it's like something comes out in the writing that is surprising so many times. But for me, it feels like it's the urge to write is really, really strong, and I can't always put a reason to it. But what I learned through my writing as well is really lovely. So you like the fun and the freedom. So what do you think it is about publishing your book?
Why do I want to publish it rather than just write it and just leave it as?
Yeah, because some people write for years and years and years on end and never publish anything.
Yeah. I think I want other people to experience what I'm experiencing. I kind of know this is one of those where it looks paradoxical to me. I cannot give you the feeling that I'm trying to get across.
Yeah.
Yet also, by writing this and putting it out there for other people to read, I'm hoping that they'll experience their own sense of fun and freedom through reading this, through what comes through for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's why, and also because I really like to encourage others to do what they love and to be creative. So by putting mine out into the world, I'm hoping that will impact others. I'm hoping I'm kind of inspiring others really to do that themselves, because it's so easy for us to have our stuff that we love, and I guess we can call them our talents and our creative genius. I think we call it a lot in the writing thing, don't we? But we keep it to ourselves, and I think that's playing small in the world, and it doesn't serve anybody. It's a lot more beneficial to, well, in my mind anyway, to shout about it and say, hey, look what I've done, and not in an egotistical way, but to encourage and empower and rise everyone else up to step into that creative genius that they've got inside of them as well. That's kind of how I see it, and that's what I would like.
Yeah, you're certainly doing that, Lucy. I've seen that transformation happen over the last few months. It's been really lovely to see, and I think you are an inspiration to people just by what you put out in the world. I mean, you are just putting out that fun and freedom into the world. So I'm inspired by you.
Oh, thank you. And you know how inspired I am by you, so.
Inspiration works more than one way. But it is, I mean, I love writing. I love talking about writing. I love hearing about writing, hearing writers' stories, and I think this is part of it, because I know that some of the people in my writers program, they do have lots of questions and lots of doubts about whether it's what they've got to say is worth anybody listening to, whether anybody's interested in it, and not really seeing that the people who read our books, there's billions of people in the world, and not all of them are going to read our books, but those people who pick up our books are probably going to be the people that our stories will resonate with, and will make a difference. So I just want to finish with one last question then. For those people that I've kind of just described, have you got like a one tip or one thing that you would say to aspiring writers, that maybe something that you've learned for yourself that has been helpful to you?
Yes. Of course I have. What I've seen since I quit the drink, as I mentioned earlier, 7 or 8 months ago, is when that happened for me, it was a case of, you're either going to sink or swim here, Lou.
Right.
And it sort of looked like a choice. I don't know if it was or not, but it felt like it kind of was. And my choice was to swim, to thrive, and absolutely to survive, but to absolutely thrive. And what happened for me, I don't know how it happened. It felt like it just did. But my self-confidence grew immensely in a very short space of time. And that is what I would encourage, is the top tip for being a writer or anything creative. As you said, Maria, I'm an artist as well. So my top tip with all of it is absolute unshakable self-confidence is a massive key to realize. It's about realizing that you're good enough, that what you have to say is important, just as important as anybody else out there. We're all uniquely, we've got our own way of saying. We might have the same message, but we've got our own way of saying it. So to have that confidence in yourself, it's always there, but it's whether we see it.
Because it sounded like you were saying that you would get going and the confidence would come, as opposed to, it didn't sound like you were saying that the confidence came first.
I don't really know which way it works. I think sometimes it looks like one way and sometimes it looks like the other. But yeah, I think if you want to write, if you want to be a writer and you want to be an author, just write, just do something every single day. And I think that helps your confidence grow. And I think knowing that you are good enough is a massive help in building that confidence. So does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
It makes perfect sense. Because I know lots of people who, they're actually starting to write. They haven't got the confidence to start to write. But, I know that when I can sit down with a blank page in front of me and I have no clue what I'm going to say. And, I have all this thinking about whether I'm going to write anything that's any good today. But what I also know is, like, if I start writing, the first half of a page is never going to see the light of day, but it's just kind of, there's something about just starting to write that just gets going, and then somewhere on the page something starts to come through. And I've even started a page by writing bar black sheep. It's like it's not just for want of getting something on the page, and then something follows. So and I think it's lovely to see that, because I know when in the early days you hadn't got this confidence that you're talking about now.
I still did it.
That's right. Look where you are now.
So okay, then I'm going to change my answer to just do it.
Okay.
It's funny, it's really interesting that you just said that though, Maria, because I put out, I think, you're subscribed to my newsletter, aren't you? So I send that out every month. So spoiler alert for you, Maria, but
okay.
And I was writing a little article in there, which is I do a monthly tip, and my tip was just do it.
That's funny.
And I wrote about just getting on with it, and Mike got it right. Just do it. So
So how would people sign up to your newsletter?
I'll have to drop, if we can share this, I'll drop the link in, because I don't know the link.
What you like.
I'm used to doing recordings, and then they say, put the link in the comments.
Yeah. All right, then we'll do that.
But yeah, I suppose you can go to my writingfromwisdom.co.uk. That's my website. So
okay.
be able to find the way to sign up through that.
Yeah.
It's always easy if you just whack a link in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's easy to do that. So, and have you got anything coming up that people listening might be interested in, other than the book launch?
Other than my book that's going to be released a week Friday. Oh, it depends when this goes out though. But yeah,
probably be fairly close by then.
I'm doing, which is interesting in what we were just talking about with the confidence and the just do it and the not being good enough stuff. I'm running a 5-day challenge, which starts on the 7th of September, and it's entitled Confidence in Creativity. So, as I said, sorry.
Let me have the link for that as well, so that people can find that.
Too. So, if anyone would like to sign up, it's free. So, it is going to be 5 days of building unshakable confidence.
Yeah.
So it's just a short 5 days with challenges each day as a video email, like an email, and then you get a video with the challenge and the day's topic in. So, and there'll be lots of interaction in the Facebook group. And yeah, that's what's coming up. And then next year, I am planning as well off the back of that, after I've done, there's a lot of work that goes into these 5-day challenges.
Yeah.
But I've got some plans of some, I think there's a 21-day program I'm going to be doing, a 3-month one, and whatever else I get through. But also I am going to be running a writing retreat next year that we were supposed to do this year, myself and Mandy. But because of obviously the COVID stuff, we had to not do it. So we're planning that for next year. I think it will be around April. We haven't got a date set yet, but
so if people follow you on Facebook and sign up to your newsletter, they'll hear all about all of that stuff.
They will. I'm not quiet.
Oh, lovely. It's been lovely talking to you, Lucy. Thank you so much. I think you've shared some really lovely stuff that people are going to be interested in. So thank you very much.